Test, mic test. Hello, hello, welcome. Test, mic test. Hello, hello, welcome. And I'm going back to some of the comments. Hello, welcome, namaste. Those of you who just joined, this is Moksha Mukti Apollo going live on Namaste group, answering or speaking regarding your questions, comment, concern. And since I don't have any comments yet, I'm going to go back to the old comment that was posted from some time ago. And looks like on yesterday there was Maud Vinny, and she wrote, I wish to know, are there parallel dimensions? I have seen, was I hallucinating? And Moksha Mukti question to her, what did you see? And Maud Vinny writes, I saw a world of brightness, our world as a negative. I was shown this from Holy Spirit. And she also writes, I was also with the Jesus above the world. He was teaching children in a space chamber. I could see them. So, yeah. There is a possibilities that you actually saw what is actually was happening in parallel universe, right? And we're gonna leave it to that, because what we imagine, we leave it to that. There is a parallel universe, and it's possible that you have experienced something from parallel universe. This is not from this universe. There are parallel universe, infinity universe. And we have looks like Akshat Savan joined here. Hello Akshat, thanks for joining. Namaste. And Akshat writes, are you Moksha Mukti Apollo? Yes, this is Moksha Mukti Apollo speaking regarding your questions, comment, concern today. This is live. And since there is no questions here, I'm going to go back to previous questions. See if there are any comments that was there from yesterday. Yeah, there are some. I know there are some questions here from yesterday. Going back to yesterday's questions, comments, concerns. And it seems like there are some questions here. Some comments here. Somebody asked questions, and there's some comments from Sahil Kumar Sharma. Sail Kumar Sharma is expressing his comments. That's not necessarily Moksha Mukti's comments. So if Moksha Mukti missed from those comments, he's going to speak regarding that. There was Dam Elledge yesterday. Dam Elledge wrote some questions. He says, how do I relieve stress? Your stress, Dam, is stemming from your thought. And if you go back to yesterday's video, it is stemming from the mushroom, right? In physiological level, there is stress and like a stem, and when it goes to your thinking level, it becomes like a mushroom. It becomes like a mushroom. It exaggerates, it makes it appear as you have more stress. So coming back to the source, giving attention to the source that you have already within you, in this recognition, the mushroom effect created by the thought falls off, and you only have stress 10%. 90% of your stress is gone because you have put your attention to the source and you have recognizing the source. And that's recognition lets you see that illusion in your mind created by your thought, and those 90% stress falls off. But 10% stress is going to be there in physiological level. Then Dam Ellis writes, what is happiness? Happiness is the condition created by the mind. One thought says that I am happy, next thought says I am unhappy. It's created by your thought. Moksha Mukti is pointing you to put your attention to the source, and you will see the source of the happiness. In the source, you are neither happy nor sad. Yet, that is what is looking for in happiness. When you say happy, that is what is looking for, is to be at home, to recognizing the source, to experience the source. That is your home, that is your happy in reality. But in the thought level, the happiness and sadness both are interpretation of the mind. And there was Anna Selman wrote yesterday, any thoughts about 3 eclipses coming soon? Anna, Moksha Mukti is not astrologer, so he's not going to speak regarding this eclipses. So let's come back to today and see if there is any comments, questions, concerns. Yeah, there are some comments here. There was Elias Johansson. Hello, Elias. Thanks for joining. Namaste. And Elias writes hello. And Leon Hill. Hello, Leon. Thanks for joining. Namaste. Leon Hill writes, how can we make the world a better place? Leon, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Why are you concerned about making the world a better place? And Leon also writes, okay, feel like we are making a difference. Yeah, Leon, what we're doing here is Moksha Mukti is pointing you to recognizing the source that you already have within you. He's pointing you to experience the source that you already have within you. He's pointing you to see the source that you have already within you. And the source itself will guide you. And you see, so we are getting away from the thinking level. Now you're asking those questions from thinking level. Like thinking wants to know, thinking wants to, thought wants to make a world better place. Thought wants to do this. Thought wants to make difference. Those are all stemming from the thought. What Moksha Mukti is pointing is the source already knows what needs to be done. The source is already is available to you, and in the source recognition you will see all those thoughts appearing and disappearing. Just a thought. And see if I can go back to comments from other day, because Moksha Mukti's video, this video, once it goes off the live, then it becomes video. Moksha Mukti posts this video in many different groups, and there are people coming there asking questions from different groups, not necessarily a Namaste group. And comments. So I'm reading all these comments here, see if there is any comments. Okay, yes, so there's one comment from Davis Cantrell. He is from Divine Conscious Group, and Davis Cantrell writes, how can I be less fearful of big changes? Davis, there are changes going on in the world now. The world is always changing, because this is the dance of the quantum, or the dance of the universe. Universe is dancing, and there are changes taking place each minute. Everything changes outward because universe is dancing, just like the waves in the ocean. There is changes going on in the ocean all the time. And sometimes there's a calm and peaceful. Such things also occurs, and the changes are subtle changes that it's not perceivable. You see. However, there is Moksha Mukti is pointing, the source is already within you. When you put your attention to the source, when you recognize this source, you see, when you experience the source never changes. And when you stay with that, giving attention to that, stay there, then you don't need to be fearful of big changes. Even fear and changes, all this experience are coming from a thought level. And he's not pointing you to give attention to the thought level in this experience now, even for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, however long you can give your attention, you see. Give your attention to the source. And that itself, your fear will fall off, because remember, mushroom effect. There's a fear in the body, physiological level, but the 90% of the fear is mushroom effect, is created by your mind. And when you give attention to the mind will create that mushroom effect, which is illusion. And when you put your attention to the source, it will fall off. Okay. So, alright, any questions coming from here? Then Leanne writes, okay, thanks. Sometimes I just feel like we can do more to help each other. Moksha Mukti is simply pointing you to the source. See, we are all connected. There is no separation between you and I in the reality, in the source. All the separation is created by the mind. So he's pointing you to put your attention to the source now in this. And all your thoughts about helping each other, everything is, where is that stemming from? Moksha Mukti is not saying don't help. Moksha Mukti is not saying don't do anything. What is pointing now is he's pointing you to give your attention to the source within and see where all these questions are stemming from. And your responsibility for you to help yourself first. And how are you going to help yourself? Give your attention to the source. Give your attention to you within. That is already there. That is the first help is needed. Change is needed within you first. First you change yourself, then you can change the world. Because what is lacking there is a lacking of the attention, giving that to yourself. Not to the thought, but to the source that is already within you. That is subtle, that is small, that is seems like powerless, that is seems like nothing, yet it is everything. And he's asking you to, he's pointing you to give attention to that, and you'll see all your thought appear and disappear in your consciousness. And of course, that requires giving effort, because it requires effort to give attention to that. Because your mind, your thought will demand attention out of you, sucks energy out of you. It's powerful, yet it is a powerful illusion. So we have Akshat Savand, he writes, and there's a delay here, right? So you put a comment here, and it's going to take a few seconds, a minute or two before I can see it, and it's going to take a minute or two to respond back. So there's a delay here, like a few 2 to 3 minutes delay here. So Akshat writes, sir, I want to be better in studies. What can I do? You can be better in your studies if you give your attention to the source and clears a lot of junk in your mind. Because there is a lot of junk in your head right now, right? Too many things that you don't need, that is pulling your attention. Give your attention to the source. That will help you clear your mind so you can focus on your studies. And we have Ellen Cravel. Hello, Ellen, you're back. Namaste, thanks for joining. Any questions, comments, concerns? And Moksha Mukti does this almost every day, live. You see, this is Moksha Mukti's volunteer. So he's volunteering to do this. He's not getting paid for this. It's strictly volunteer work. So because of this, there is no definite time when Moksha Mukti is going to go live. And he's going to go live between 11 a.m. Eastern time, Central Time, US time, 11 a.m. Central US time to 2 p.m. Central US time. So between 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Moksha Mukti goes live almost every day. Sometimes he skips because he has something else going on. But between those times, he will go live on the Namaste group here. And if you want to go one-on-one with him, then you can go to Moksha Mukti Apollo webpage, and you can request to have a one-on-one session with you, that only you and Moksha Mukti, and Moksha Mukti does via Skype. So via Skype for half an hour session, 1 hour session, however you want, you can request him via Moksha Mukti Apollo page, webpage, and I'll post this in the comment here below. You can go to that page, and we can go one-on-one. You can go one-on-one, and Moksha Mukti gonna take you, ask you questions and then take you deeper. And Ellen Crable writes, yes, I'm back. I enjoy listening to what you have to say. Well, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining, Ellen. And it's much appreciated. Thank you. Roberto Risato. Hello, Roberto. Thanks for joining. Namaste. And he wrote, hello, man. Hello. Any questions, comment, concerns? Simply type your questions, comment, concerns, and Moksha Mukti will speak regarding that. Right? And like yesterday, he spoke about the mushroom effect. Right? It's a good analogy to give you, because 10% of everything in a physiological level, like a stem of the mushroom, it is going to be there. And that's 10% of that. And 90% of the mushroom, big head of the mushroom, that is created by your thought and making your anxiety, loneliness, sadness, depression, fearfulness, hatefulness, jealousy, anger, all of them are exaggerated by the mind like the mushroom. And the Moksha Mukti is, since yesterday that analogy came, he calls that mushroom effect. Because on the stem, that is real, but the mushroom ball is the illusion. And when you put your attention, and this requires effort, for you to put your attention to the source. Because thought is constantly eating up your energy, thought is constantly eating up your attention. And by the time you want to give attention to the source, that is your home, that's what you've been longing for, you're exhausted because thought is going on too much. And my live session just ended here on the iPad, so I don't know if it's going live or not. I might log in back again, see if that's going on. Yeah, seems like it's going on. So Roberto writes, say hello to Brazil. Hello Roberto, hello Brazil. Roberto writes namaste. And Roberto writes, I work in the hypnosis in Brazil. Very good. Well, good. Glad you joined here. If you have any questions, comment, concern regarding life, you can simply type it up and Moksha Mukti will speak regarding that. Any questions, comment, concerns, simply type it up. Those of you just joined, namaste. This is Moksha Mukti Apollo. This is live right now, that is happening. And he is speaking regarding your questions, comment, concerns that you type up on the comment section. And Roberto Rizardo writes, how can control my focus in a better way? So Roberto, what is happening there is thought. Thinking is on its own. Thinking is happening on its own. Thinking is powerful. Thinking demands attention, and thinking is eating up your attention. And thinking is happening, whether the clear thinking or not obscure thinking. Is happening and eating up your energy. When you give attention to the source that is already within you now, that source is connected with everyone. That source is one source that is already within you. In the reality, we are one, and the source is my source, your source, and I cannot say that is my source and you cannot say that is your source. Because source is the source, you see. And through that source, we are all connected. And everything is appearing and disappearing in the source. All thoughts are appearing and disappearing in the source, and when you give attention to the source, you will see all the thought arising. All the thought is appearing, disappearing. And by giving attention to the source, you can focus whatever you want to focus. And whatever you want to focus, you have to give attention to that. It requires attention. And what is Moksha Mukti pointing? Requiring attention to give it to the source that you have already within you. By giving attention, there is a possibility for you to experience the source, possibility for you to see the source, possibility for you to recognize the source. And Moksha Mukti says possibility because if you don't give attention, if you don't give effort, you will not be able to recognize it because your thought just sucks up all your energy. And going by thinking level, you will not be able to see that. You will not be able to recognize that. And Ellen writes, so what do you do to stay focused on source? Is it possible to stay focused on the source all the time? Not your 100% focus, not your 100% attention, but whenever you have free time, even for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, however level you can, give attention to the source. And wherever you go, carry that attention, maybe 5%, 10% attention to the source. And give attention, 90% attention, 80%, whatever you can to the thought to function in the society. Otherwise, we have to give attention to the thought to function, because without the thought, I won't be able to broadcast this live today, right? I have to come up here, I have to hook up all this, equipment, to go live. And I have to have, different, it's a little process here. There's a microphone, there's a camera here, there's a camera stand, there's a table, there's a light here, then there's on the iPad, I'm looking at all your comments, all of this dynamics. See, it requires your thinking. See, so you have to give attention to that. But Moksha Mukti does it naturally, because everything is happening naturally here. So while you're here, while you're joining, give attention to the source here and now, and carry that wherever you go. And Robert writes, think or TNK or TRK vary. Well, I don't know what you mean by that. Much. I'll do it. Thanks. So Robert says thank you. You're welcome, Robert. Ellen says that makes sense. Well, you see, it requires effort. When people come in here, they think like we're giving something for your thought, for you to feel good. Moksha Mukti is not giving you something for your thought to feel good. He's actually pointing you to put your attention. So pointing you to make a little effort to give attention to the source. And by giving attention, by giving effort, there is a possibility for you to create miracle in your life. There is a possibility for infinite possibilities. You see. Then Robert writes, Ellen, nice to meet you. And Ellen says, you too, Roberto. It seems we asked the same question at the same time. Yeah. Any questions, comment, concern? Simply type your questions, comment, concern, and Moksha Mukti will speak regarding this. And those of you just joined, Namaste, this is Moksha Mukti Apollo. We have John Wolf. John, that name seems familiar. Were you here before? Anyway, hello John, thanks for joining. Namaste. And you may hear a little, I've got this iPad in a small volume, so I know I'm listening to that, making sure that my audio is functioning properly, because in a few previous occasions, there was issue with my audio. People were not able to understand the audio. It somehow got mixed with different frequency, and my voice would sound like I'm talking like a monster. So I'm listening, and you may be hearing some echo of that in the microphone that's coming up, but that's what I got to do to make sure that my vocal is sounding good. Yeah. So those of you just joined, Namaste, this is Moksha Mukti Apollo. Simply type your questions, comment, concern about life, from your direct experience, and Moksha Mukti will speak regarding that. And basically what he's pointing here is he's not giving you lecture. He's not telling you anything. He's not giving you speech. And he's not teaching you anything. What he's doing is he's pointing you to put your attention to the source, and source itself will guide you. And everything Moksha Mukti is speaking, it comes from the source. So all your questions that he's speaking, it comes from the source, and the source itself is pointing to the source. See, and everything is happening on his own. Even breathing is happening on his own. And some people say, well, watch your breath. You don't really need to do that. Watch your attention. Give your attention to the source. You don't need to watch your breath. Because breath is happening on its own. And the source is watching everything. And Robert writes, what chakras I need to work on? Well, Robert, Moksha Mukti does not believe in chakras. When you give your attention to the source that is already within you, that source itself will guide you and balance your chakra, if there is a chakra. But Moksha Mukti does not believe in chakras. And if you want to practice chakra, go ahead. However, Moksha Mukti does not recommend it. He doesn't practice it, because the source itself will balance the chakra if there are any. They say there's a crown chakra, there's some chakra over here, chakra like in your mouth area, on the throat, your heart area, there's like these 7 chakras that says, those are, Moksha Mukti says, those are all the imagination, imagined by the expert. When you give attention to the source, when you're recognizing the source, when you're connecting the source, all of those chakra, if they are there, it will be balanced by itself. And John writes, I have questions that might seem odd. I was brought up Christian, but find a lot of issues. So I started meditation, and I have started feeling pressure at my third eye. Yeah, of course, when you do the forceful meditation, you may feel pressure. Or even by simple observation, there may be pressure. And what Moksha Mukti is pointing, give your attention to the source. And it's hard to describe what is that source. He's speaking about the source. He's projecting the source right now through silence, or whether he's speaking. So he's connecting to the source right now. He is pointing you to the source right now. And there are no words that can say what is the source. But the source is already there within you. And source is observing everything. It is observing your pressure. It is observing your thoughts. Simply let the source observe it. And by observing itself, the source itself will relieve the pressure. It requires effort. It requires your effort to give attention to that is observing everything, your pressure, your thoughts, everything, outward, anywhere, anything and everything that is observing. Give your attention to that. Any questions, comments, concerns, simply type it up and Moksha Mukti will speak regarding that. Moksha Mukti is not giving you a lecture. Moksha Mukti is not teaching you anything. Moksha Mukti is not telling you anything. He is simply pointing you to give your attention to the source that is already within you. Now, the source is everywhere, ever pervading. The source is one. That source is throughout the universe, multiverse, anywhere and everywhere. That source seems small, that source seems subtle, that source seems weak, that source seems powerless, that source seems negligible. Yet, that is everything. Everything appears and disappears in the source. And source is always observing you. And in the observation, give your attention to that, and that itself will guide you. And you don't need to do any artificial meditation. You don't need to do artificial chakra balancing. You don't need to do anything artificial, because source will take you naturally into the course. It requires your effort to give it attention. That's it. And what is happening there is the thought is consuming your thinking. That is consuming your energy, that is consuming your effort, that is consuming your attention. Because that is powerful. Because each thought is not your thought, it is comprehensive collective thought. Humans thought, felt and experienced since the beginning of the time that human existed here on the planet, and that has been passed down from generation to generation. And then that is why thought is the collective thought, and that is powerful, and it demands your attention. And Moksha Mukti is pointing you to give your attention to the source instead of the thought. Even for a few seconds while you're here, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, however long you can, give attention to that and carry that attention wherever you go to the source. And Akshat writes, good Vedic text to read for students except Ramayana and Mahabharata. Moksha Mukti does not read any text. Moksha Mukti does not read any scripture. Moksha Mukti does not listen to anyone. Moksha Mukti does not read any books. He simply gives his attention to the source, and everything is speaking so far. And you can go back to YouTube, Moksha Mukti Apollo page. There's almost 30 hours of talks here in Facebook, almost 5 hours talks. There are his books on Amazon.com. There's 2 books there, and he's writing 3rd book actually that is about to be published. It's about 500 pages. All of these text books, everything is stemming from the source, because he gives attention to the source. And everything written in the book is already in the past. What is here is now that you can experience now is give attention to the source now in this ever perpetuating present moment. You see, the moment you read something, you're reading something about the past. However, you have something pure, you have something fresh, you have something available to you now to experience the source within. And that source itself will guide you, that source itself will give you so-called knowledge. You see? And he is simply pointing you to give attention to that now in this present moment. And this requires effort. Effort on your part to give attention to that. And observe all the thoughts appearing and disappearing in your consciousness. And access, right? It is difficult to give attention. Yes, it is difficult to give attention because thought is demanding you to read something. Thought is demanding you for attention. Thought is demanding information. Thought is demanding everything for you to feed, like a child. And you want to be like a child, yeah, give attention to the thought. Give feed to the thought. Read something, do something like what thought is demanding. But if you want to grow up, so-called growing up, so-called awakening, it requires your attention. It requires your effort to give attention. Hello, those of you joined, Namaste. This is Moksha Mukti Apollo speaking regarding your questions, comments, concerns. And as Akshat Savan writes, thank you. You're welcome, Akshat. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your experience. And you're doing yourself a favor by giving attention to your source, to yourself, to your home, to everything that you've been searching all your life. All of you. What you are searching, what you have been searching, what you'll search is already within you now in this present moment. It simply requires your attention. It simply requires effort on your part. And Akshat writes, where are you from, by the way? Moksha Mukti is in Dallas, Texas, USA. Daniela Mio Rich. Hello, Daniela. Namaste. Thanks for joining. And Daniela writes, in any situation, do I follow my heart to my head? Yeah, that's what Moksha Mukti is pointing you right now. Is the source within your heart? Maybe. Because it appears like near heart area. Yet, source is everywhere. Source is everywhere. It's in your heart, it's in your brain, it's everywhere. But what Moksha Mukti is pointing, your thought, your brain, your mind, whatever you want to call it, is an illusion. It is a powerful illusion. Yet, it is a tool for you to function, to survive and reproduce on the planet Earth, so that you can serve the universe, for you to function, survive and reproduce, to keep it going. So the thought, the head, the mind requires your attention. It requires for you to use it when you are to function in the society, and only to function in the society. But what Moksha Mukti is pointing you to give your attention to the source, you may call it heart or whatever. That source itself knows everything there is to know. That source itself will guide you. And of course, you have to use your tools to function. You see, like without the tool, I wouldn't be able to broadcast this live. See, I'm using the tool. So only for that purpose, you have to use the thought or the mind or the, whatever you want to call it. But he's simply pointing you to give attention to that, to the source now, in the present moment, wherever you have time, even for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, give your attention to that. And Daniela writes, how do I know which one to listen to? So what Moksha Mukti is pointing now is that to give attention to the source that you have already within you, that is observing everything, that is observing what is happening in your mind. And all of the thoughts, all of the observation, all of the appearance, thought appearing and disappearing is happening on the mind. And 90% of your thought is like a garbage. You don't really need it. And it is causing you more problem than harm. And you say, well, I need to give attention to the head. Now your head is what? Full of garbage. 90% of it is garbage. When you give attention to the source, those garbage will disappear. The source itself will purify your thought, making your mind clear for you to make a decision effectively and efficiently. And this requires giving attention to the source. This requires your effort. And without the effort, then you giving attention to the thought, and thought is eating you. And thought is fooling you, thought is taking you for a ride, and thought is, taking you in their circle, going in a circle and circle and circle. And it's not going to take you anywhere besides the circle. Merry go round and round and round, And you are demanding, I need to have a peace. I need to have a quiet time. I need to give some peace here. I need some serenity. What you're longing for is you giving attention to the source. And Daniela writes, thank you. Namaste. Namaste, Daniela. Thanks for joining. Glad you joined. Thanks. Glad to have you here. We have Chanel Lena Hart. Hello Chanel, thanks for joining. Namaste. And Chanel writes, thank you. I don't know what the thank you for, but I'll accept it. We're welcome. Those of you who just joined, this is Moksha Mukti Apollo speaking regarding your questions, comment, concern, and he's simply pointing you to recognizing the source, experience the source, and see the source that is available to you now, and only effort it requires for you to do is put your attention to that. And Chanel writes, the question that you answered of Daniel's and helped me also. Well, great. Glad that you are listening. Glad you joined. And, glad that is helping you also. Because ultimately this helps everyone. Moksha Mukti is speaking to the entire humans in the planet. There is no race here. There is no nationality here. There is no ethnicity here. What is here is the humanity. You're humans. You're the citizen of the universe. It's in the source level. You see? And Akshat writes, yeah, also help me. Well, glad it's helping you. Any other questions, comment, concerns? Simply type your questions, comment, concern, and Moksha Mukti shall speak regarding that. Moksha Mukti is not lecturing you anything. Moksha Mukti is not telling you anything. Moksha Mukti is not teaching you anything. Simply pointing you to give attention to that is already available to you right now in this present moment. And it requires effort on your part to give your attention to that. And naturally, or not, I don't want to call it naturally, but in a robotically, in a mechanically, what is happening there is that the thought is eating up your attention, thought is eating up your energy, thought is eating up your effort. And it is collecting garbage, collecting trash. It's making it impure. It is making you impure. It is making you restless. It is making you anxious. It is making you angry. It is making you frustrated. It is making you lonely. It is making you fearful, because that 90% trash is collected in your brain. And when you give attention to the source, that creates the possibility for you to recognize the source, and requires effort. And when you recognize the source, it just purifies your brain. It just clears your brain, and it says, oh my God, what the heck kind of junk I was carrying it. I didn't really need it. Now I feel good. I feel fresh. I feel here now, present. Now I can do my job. I can do whatever I want to focus. I can do it well, because everything is clear. All of those garbage is not needed. And when the garbage is not there, when there's fresh, then yes, Akshat, you can concentrate on your studies. And we have Roberto here. You can concentrate in your hypnotic job or whatever that you do. And Daniel, who else is here? John, Roberto, Ellen, whoever here are. Those of you just put a comment here. There may be more of you here, you're watching, but I can only see who put a comment here. So all of those of you watching, whatever you do in your life, this will help you focus. Because now what is happening is you're carrying that junk, and junk is just recycled. Like in a computer, you just click a button and everything gets, you can put in the recycle bin and recycle. Similarly, giving attention to the source creates a possibility for you to recycle in your brain and give you lots of space for the brain to have all the abundance, all the miracle, and all the infinity possibility come to you. And you may say, well, that's so simple. And you may say, I already knew that. Well, knowing and applying in your life, there's a difference. Knowing and making an effort to experiencing there's a difference. Knowing is dreaming. Knowing is imagination. Yet powerful imagination. Knowing is powerful dreaming. Universe is dreaming and you are seeing that dream in your consciousness. Even this is a dream. We have Dania Jaber. I'm doing my best to pronounce your name. Says Namaste. Namaste, Dania. Thanks for joining. Glad to have you here. And Akshat writes, how to never be afraid. That's a very good question, Akshat. Remember, there is two things that is happening. One, afraid, fear, whatever you want to call it, is in your body. And if you never want to be afraid, that means that is the end of you. Because as long as you're living, as long as you're breathing, heart is beating, the fear is there in the body to protect you. It is a mechanism, human mechanism, physiological mechanism placed in the body. However, 90% of the time, what is happening in you is that physiological level. Remember the mushroom effect? The stem exists there in the physiological level, 10% of the fear. But the 90% of the fear is created by your mind. Because two things happening in the mind. First of all, mind does not want you to be fearful. So what it tries to do is the energy that is created from your body in a physiological level, that to protect you, that fear is experienced, and mind wants to get rid of that fear from the body. And second thing that is happening there is mind is analyzing, overanalyzing, and that is causing the problem. So now 90% of the fearful, you never have to be afraid. 90% man to the thought, because the afraid whatever is created by the thought. 90% of it is the mushroom effect. And when you don't give attention to the thought, give attention to the source, the 90% of mushroom, the head of the mushroom falls off, and you no longer experience that you are afraid. However, the afraid is there in the body to protect you in the danger, and you will need that. And only time there is no afraid, completely gone, is when you pass away, when you're no longer here. That would be the end of you. Dania Jawar writes, how do I know that I am picking the right thing for myself? Daniel, what do you mean by picking the right thing? Are you saying that you're making the right decision? Every decision that you make, you are trying to be centered to the source, or you are trying to give attention to the source, to recognize the source. And some people may call that center, but Moksha Mukti calls that recognition, experiencing the source, or the quantum plexus. And that itself will guide you to make decisions. And any decision you make is bringing you closer to the source now, because you are thinking, all the decisions made by thought, and you are functioning in the thought level. You are giving attention to the thought level, and thought level, it goes, and something there is demanding you to come home. Something is there is demanding you to be peaceful. Something there is demanding you to be serene. Something that is demanding you to be happy, and that is what is you craving for the attention to the source. And Dania Java Rice, yes, yes. So those of you just joined, Namaste, this is Moksha Mukti Apollo. Type your questions, comment, concern, and he'll speak regarding that. And so far all the questions are coming up good, coming directly from your experience. And that's what Moksha Mukti is looking for or want to point out, because something not directly from the experience, then this will be a futile task. This is not the purpose of this is not what Moksha Mukti is pointing you to do, pointing you to that. So any questions, comment, concern, simply type your questions, comment, concern, and Moksha Mukti will speak regarding that. And Moksha Mukti does not even need to speak. You can remain here silently. And your comment, question, concern is pushing a button for him to speak. And accept rise. Yeah, but how do you not be afraid of supernatural thing? I get scared when I watch horror movie. Of course, the horror movie is supposed to make you afraid. That 10% afraidness need to be there in the body. When you don't be afraid in the mirror, that would end up you. I already spoke on that. You are naturally need to be afraid in the physiological level for the body to protect itself. Otherwise, if there is a real danger in a situation, let's say a tiger is attacking you or a thief attacking you, robber attacking you, you need to run. You need to protect yourself or fight back. You see, so that fear mechanism is kicked in for you to protect yourself. But what Moksha Mukti is pointing, when you analyze that thought with the thought, when you want to get rid of the fear from the thought, from the body, that is causing you the problem. Zach Liev. Hello Zach, namaste, thanks for joining. Jack writes, what's your opinion on the good and versus bad perspective? So Zach, what is happening in the thought level is, in the thought here, there's a good, bad, night and day, right and wrong, black and white, good and evil. All of these are duality is there. That is the nature of the mind. One thought says good, one thought says bad. That is stemming from the thought, and that is stemming from your condition, how you condition, from the condition that your society imposed on you. From that condition, you're saying good, bad, right, wrong, night, day, black, white, left, right. All these things is the product of the condition that your society imposed on you since the childhood, and because of that condition, you are saying good and bad, right and wrong, all that. And that is the nature of the thought to say that. That is the nature of the thought to label that. So in the reality, there is no good or bad. Good or bad is the interpretation of the mind, interpretation of the thought. And it comes from collective, comprehensive collective knowledge we have collected. Based on that comprehensive collective knowledge, from one society takes that knowledge and impose this is good, and the other society collects that knowledge and impose that is bad. It depends on the first of all, it depends on the society, what society conditioned you. You see, and they all come from comprehensive collective knowledge we have collected. This is good, this is bad, is the interpretation of the thought. But in the reality, there is only data. Data you receive, and thought interprets good and bad. Dania writes, how can we make the most of our life? Dana, all your life you're seeking something. All your life you have searched something. All your life you'll seek something. You are seeking to be home, seeking to come to the source, seeking to experience the source, seeking to recognizing the source, seeking to see the source. And Moksha Mukti is simply pointing you to give attention to the source, and by the source itself will give you the most of your life, because now several things are happening. Go back to listen to what I said about the mind, clearing the mind, clearing the garbage. Would you rather collect all the junks in your bag just like the donkey, or not carry anything, live like a horse, free? And the source allows you to do that when you're recognizing the source. Source is subtle, source is small, source seems weak, source seems powerful, yet everything happens in the source, everything is observed in the source, everything appears and disappears in the source, and that source is already available to you now in this present moment. And Zach Leo writes, thank you for your insight, I appreciate it. You're welcome, Zach. Any other questions, comment, concern? I think my battery may be dying, so when battery dies, this video will automatically end, because my the port that is using the charge battery is used by the microphone. I'm using the microphone to sound, to have a good sound, so you can hear what Moksha Mukti is pointing out. So as soon as the battery dies, this session will end, and Moksha Mukti will come back. Moksha Mukti might come back tomorrow, because he comes almost every day. Sometimes he doesn't come. Is when there's something going on in his life, like he has some obligation to take care. But he comes here almost every day for an hour to hour and a half, depending on the battery, how long it lasts. And this is Moksha Mukti is volunteering here. He's not getting paid to do that. No one is paying him a penny to do this. That's why he comes here certain times, like it says between 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central U.S. time. So between those times, almost every day, he comes here and give these talks or give these pointers to you, for you to experience the source, recognize the source, and see the source. You see, and he's speaking to all humans on the planet. He is speaking to you. You are the universal citizen. There is no race, there is no ethnicity, there is no religion, there is no nationality, there is no nothing here. So you are simply humans. And he's coming here giving this speak. And if you want to have one-on-one session, he's gonna put the link here. So for the one-on-one session, he recommends like a donation. You can go in the page, and by giving donation, you can have half-hour session with Moksha Mukti. Go in one-on-one, just you and Moksha Mukti, whatever you have in your mind, in your life, whatever. He'll go via Skype. He'll do one-on-one session, and this will take place via you first. Go and make a schedule on Moksha Mukti's webpage, and from there we exchange your contact, Skype contact, and we schedule time and give you one-on-one session. Other than that, he gives this live session. This is free to you, not going to cost you anything. However, you can go to the Moksha Mukti page. If you feel like this is helping you, you can go to his webpage and donate any amount if you want. But he's not asking for any donations. This is simply giving for free. So that's why he's going to speak between 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central U.S. time, depending on his schedule. So that's why the time is not specific. Someone asked, well, you need to give me a specific time, Well, I can't give you a specific time, because, I have my life, I have my other things, I have my career, I have other things going on. So that's what's going on. Then we have Akshat. You believe in Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity. Like I said, Akshat, Moksha Mukti, this is not religion. This is not a religion. This is simply speaking about you. And there is two things happening. One is the source is already within you, that you have now. The source is already within you. The source knows everything there is to know. The source is infinity. The source is powerful, that you have already within you. And then second thing you have is your thought. Thinking. And thought is demanding religion. Thought is demanding spiritualism. Thought is demanding knowledge. Thought is demanding all that. Thought is making you afraid. But when you give attention to the source itself is going to guide you. Source itself going to eliminate your fear, the psychological fear he's speaking about, like mushroom type of fear. This is not a religion. This is simply about life, about who you are. And Akshat Raj, yes, I asked you earlier one, what do you mean by that we're living in a dream? Akshat, this is all dream. Just like at nighttime you dream, okay? Just like lion chasing you, something nightmare happening, you're afraid, and when you wake up, you say, wait a minute, I was dreaming, I don't need to be afraid anymore. Similarly, this is a dream, this is a concrete dream, this is a solid dream, this appearing real. And when you awake from this dream, and you wait a minute, I was dreaming, I no longer need to be afraid. So those of you just joined, this is Moksha Mukti Apollo. He is speaking regarding your questions, comment, concern, and Namaste. Thanks for joining this Namaste, giving his talks in Namaste group. So any questions, comment, concern, simply point to your, right to type your questions, comment, concern, and he'll speak regarding that. And he's simply pointing you to the source that you already have within you now, in this present moment. And you see, everything is available to you in the present moment. Past is already gone. Future is anticipation. Past is recollection from the past, stored in your memory, tiny space. And when you give to the past, you're only giving attention to the tiny space in the brain, just a small space. And you miss everything in the present moment. And when you anticipate, you are using small part of the brain, anticipating about the future. And by doing that, what happened? You miss everything available to you in the present moment. And in the present moment, everything is available to you. You have the power, you have the effort, you have the energy to give your attention to the source, and source itself will guide you to anything and everything. And we have at Sharte Spizua. I'm trying my best to pronounce your name. Spizua, I can pronounce that. Hello Spizua, thanks for joining, Namaste. And Spizua writes, thanks, I understand what you mean now. Well, it seems like Spizua, you've been listening to what all the things is happening. So you were sitting silently and listening, and seems like you understand, you are seeing what Moksha Mukti is pointing. So you're welcome. Thanks for joining. And we have a Dania Jaber, or Haber, I can pronounce Dania. Dania writes, thank you. You're welcome, Dania. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sharing your experiences. Thanks for making this live section lively. Without the comment, this wouldn't be lively, because, Moksha Mukti can talk. He can talk like this all day, but, it becomes more interesting when you put a comment, question, concern, so it'll be interactive. So let's see, Moksha Mukti has been speaking for 1 hour. I think how long my battery is gonna last here. When the battery is died, this session is gonna end. So without me saying that we're gonna end this session, this will automatically end when the battery dies. So that's it. When you no longer hear or no longer see this session live, that means Moksha Mukti's battery dead, and that's when he's gonna end the session. And right now it's 2:11, so he started from 1 o'clock, so it's been 1 hour. It's possible that my Moksha Mukti's battery, the iPhone's battery, is gonna last another 15 minutes to 30 minutes. So this session is gonna carry on for 15 to 30 more minutes. And those of you who just joined, this is Moksha Mukti Apollo giving live talks. And let me just take a quick water break. Drink some water here. Cheers. Mouth is not dry anymore. And Akshat writes, how to activate the source, how to tap into the unlimited energy. That's what Moksha Mukti has been pointed out, Akshat. Simply give your attention to the source. that is observing your thoughts, that is observing everything. And this task may seem simple, and most of you ignore this because it is simple. You would rather take the hard way to the life. You would rather take the hard path and fail many times to recognizing the source, to be with the source, to be home now. It is simple, and that is why you ignore it. But those of you, maybe few of you, take that pointer and put your attention to the source now and benefit and recognize and create possibility to create miracle in your life, create possibility to have infinity possibilities, and create possibility for you to conserve your energy, because your mind is emitting your energy. It is making you exhausted, it is making you tired. And etc. Any book recommendation. Moksha Mukti does not read any books. Moksha Mukti does not recommend any books. However, Moksha Mukti has 2 books on Amazon, and Moksha Mukti is writing 3rd book, and that is about to be published. He doesn't recommend any books, but he has books. He's not even recommending that books. But if you want to read it, 2 books, they're available on Amazon right now, and a 3rd book is publishing in a near future. And all the books, everything, he's pointing you to the source. And if I may recall from the first book called Waves Metamorphosing into Revelation, that is available on Amazon, and from that book there are 5 lines. And everything is happening, everything what is Moksha Mukti has been saying, all the talks, 30-40 hours of talks, all the 500-600 pages of Moksha Mukti's writings are stemming from these 5 lines, and that is the source. And this poem he's going to recite is this: invigorating is eternal, not contaminated by anything. Sweet kisses from spontaneity. The life vitality is the dance of the molecules. So you see the 5 lines says everything there is to say. Okay, Axel, I'll put the links of the books in the comments right now. It's hard to give over the, just by speak. So I'll put a links. I'll copy paste the links on the comment here after this talk is done, and then you can go check it out. And Spiritual says, just live the moment. Yes, live the moment and give your attention to the source. Give your attention to that is observing anything and everything. Now in this present moment, ever perpetuating present moment. Everything is available to you now in this present moment. And the source is observing anything and everything. It is even observing your thought. And thought arises subtly, sometimes hard, sometimes forcefully. It depends on how important is that thought, and the time makes the thought important. The time is illusion, yet it makes the thought important. Like you have the deadline, you have to go do something at this time, so that time creates urgency. Date creates urgency for you to take action. And actually that action in the reality is the reaction. And spizua, right? It's a pity that society doesn't teach us that the world is upside down. Well, it is what it is, spizua. Spizua, or however you want to pronounce your name. It is what it is. The society is the product of the comprehensive collective knowledge we have collected. From that comprehensive knowledge, the society is created. It is created from the thought. It is created from the mind. And it only teaches you what is in the mind, what is in the thought, what is the comprehensive collective knowledge collected from this level. You see. And this completely misses out giving attention to the source. So when you give attention to the source, all the society will collapse. And it doesn't want to collapse. It wants to keep it going. It wants to manage the status quo. You see. Therefore, it doesn't point you to give your attention to the source. It points you to give attention to the thought. And in thought, it thrives. With thought, it grows. With thought, it keeps it going. See. And there is a whole society like that. And it is what it is. It is a phenomena that is created by the mind. It is a society created by the mind. And it is what it is. And as an individual, in an individual level, you are saddened by it, you are sickened by it, you are exhausted by it, you are tired by it, because these are all lie in the reality. So you are all tired, you are all sickened, you are all saddened, yet in the individual level, you can give attention to the source. Individual level, you are longing for peace. Individual level, you are longing for serenity. Individual level, you are longing for the home. Be at home. And that home is already within you now. That home is already available to you now. That so-called peace is already available to you now. That so-called serenity is already available to you now. Simply, it requires for you to give attention to the source. And we have Susie Summer. Hello Susie, namaste, thanks for joining. It is what it is, one of my favorite phrases. Yeah.